Hello, it's December 6th, and I am coming to you from Mexico. I actually made it, but my voice is still coarse. Um, but I thought I would give you an update over what has happened over the last couple of days. So on Sunday, I went to go check in on um, for the flight, and the flight was like, oh, it's gonna be like 2 hours delayed. And I was like, okay, this is like supposed to be a red eye. Um, but then, uh, but then it kept getting like further delayed. So it was like something looks kind of up here. And then finally, maybe around like 3 p.m., I got a notification that the flight was canceled. So at that point, I was like, oh my God. So I texted another person who was going to be on that flight who wasn't aware because they like had not emailed any notifications that the flight was canceled or anything like that. And we were just looking online, and there was a direct flight that was leaving at like 5:40 or something like that. So at this time it's like 3:30 or so, and the flight was like 5:42 for a direct flight. So then we're like, so then she ended up booking that one, and then she told me, and then I went to go look, and at that time it was like 5:86. So now it's like 3:45 or so, or maybe like 4 o'clock. Again, for like a 5:40 flight. And keep in mind, it's like international. So I go online and it's like 5:86, but through a travel agency. So I book it through the travel agency, still have an unconfirmed flight. And then like, thank goodness I was already like packed and like kind of dressed. So called an Uber, or called a ride share, and then it was like 15 minutes away. So now we're at like 4:15. So at like 4:15, I get a call from the travel agent saying, hey, I know that when you booked, that was the flight that was available, but that price is no longer available. There are only like 2 seats left, and now it's going to be $780. Do you confirm? And at that point, I was like, I have like no other choice at this particular point in time. So I ended up saying yes. Again, this is a direct one-way flight. And then the Uber came, and my ETA was like, I was gonna get to the airport at like 4:50, and this is, or like 4:40. And at that time, like the flight would have already been boarding. So rushed the airport, checked in. I only had to carry on luggage. And now I needed to find a place to stay in Mexico City for the night because I wasn't arriving in the morning the next day. I was arriving that night. And my flight was coming in really late, like 11:20 p.m. So I ended up like texting the group chat that we have set up for this event, and I was like, does anyone have an extra place to stay? And I like DM'd like 3 different people. And on my ride over to the Uber, I didn't even have a confirmed flight at that point in time. And my like record locator number wouldn't work, and they were like, this record isn't confirmed. So I showed up at the airport without a confirmed ticket yet. But by the time I got to a kiosk, it was good. And because and like luckily I have TSA pre-check, so then I could go into a different security line. And I got to the gate, and I was able to gate check my bag, and also the flight was 30 minutes delayed, so that ended up working. So there were like a couple like last minute emails that I still needed to send, so I sent those emails, and then I heard an announcement at the gate that was like, Tiffany Yu, this is the final boarding for your flight. And yeah, I think it was like the last or the second to last person onto the plane. So I made it. I still don't have my voice fully back yet, and I don't know if it's gonna come back during this trip because it's a lot like catching up and talking. But I ended up finding a place to stay when I landed. It was like 11:30. But in addition to the 3 people that I messaged, there were so many other people who had ended up messaging as well, just like checking in to make sure that I had been taken care of, which was really nice. But good morning. I'm recording a vlog.
Yeah, sorry, we thought.
No, would you like to be in my vlog?
Well,
Well, I think you're just gonna pass through.
We'll come
Yeah,
through.
we're
We're,
next-
we're,
are
next,
we
we're
not
your
neighbours?
neighbours.
Oh, are you right here?
We're gonna be the
Hello.
stars.
Hello.
Well, welcome. We're all in our ponchos, so we can just show you what our ponchos look like. But yeah, so luckily I found a place to stay, and her boyfriend was going to be up, so that was really nice. And then we showed up. We showed up for the bus, and the cool thing is that my phone service actually works here. So on the bus ride over, I called the other company who had canceled the flight, and he did some research online, and it's like if they cancel the flight and it's like within a certain period of time, you are eligible for a refund. So I ended up getting refunded for the flight, but keep in mind I paid $780 for that one flight, and my refund is going to be around like $150 or so, but I'll recoup what I can. But one of the things that we have been encouraged to think about during our time here is kind of like what our intention for the Sandbox Summit is. And I don't know, I've kind of been like reflecting, and every time I like show up to one of these, kind of like what happened with when I went to Summit Palm Desert, is I like anchor back to the last time I was at one of these, which for me was 2017. And I was just like thinking about how much in my life has changed since then. I've moved to a new city, I'm in a new relationship. When I came 5 years ago, I was on a scholarship, and this time I bought my own ticket. But we're staying in these like super nice hotels. But yeah, I've been trying to think about what I want my intention to be, and I think what's coming up for me is just like being. This is like one of the first trips that I've booked that isn't a work trip and like isn't a family trip. And just time for me. So I set my alarm for the wrong time, so I didn't make it to the wellness sessions. But right now we're kind of like in this in-between period between when breakfast starts and then when like today's session starts. So that's all I got. I do have my fingers crossed that my voice will come back, but I hope it's not like vocal cord strain or something like that, or something longer term, but we'll see. Anyway, that is my update. Yvonne, who we were on the same flight, she called me like a chaos agent because it was like the flight was canceled, and I'm like, what's the game plan? And then we both booked flights, and I think she was confirmed, but she lives a little bit further away from the airport than I do. And then like on my way to the airport without a confirmed flight, and then like struggling to find a place to stay. But ultimately, I guess I'm just trusting that it will all work out. So that's all I got for you. But I will give you like this is just like right outside of our hotel area. But that's the update. I made it. I'm feeling better health-wise, which is good. Since the cold was like 10 days ago, or started 10 days ago, it's just like the voice is the lingering thing. Bye, everyone.